The Chase Sapphire Reserve is considered to be one of the best of the premium travel credit cards in the game today. It has some strong superpowers and some unique benefits. But you know what? It just is not the card for me. We're going to talk about that today. Before we get into it, I just want to put it out there that I have never held this card. I've never used this card. I am purely going off of the Chase website and running down the list of all of the benefits and the multipliers and everything that this card has to offer. So this is purely me looking at this card from the perspective of, would I get benefit from the card? So I just wanted to put that out there. First and foremost, we're going to talk about what I see as the positives of this card, where I would get benefit from this card. First and foremost, the $300 annual travel credit to me is super strong. That category is wide open pretty much for what codes as travel for the travel credit and for the travel multipliers in general. But everything from the usual things like ride shares and flights and hotels and whatnot, but also things like, taxi cabs or limousines or staying in a timeshare. Like, all of that is covered by the annual travel credit of $300. So that's the one thing that I think makes this card super strong. Now comes everything that I think are negatives of the card for me in my use case. So first and foremost would be the card's earning structure. Um, as we all know, it gets 3x on dining. It gets 3x on uh, what's categorized as other travel. Besides flights and hotels and rental cars. So any other travel category outside of those, it also gets 5x on flights if you book it through the travel portal, and also 10x on hotels and rental vehicles also booked in the travel portal. And I have other cards that get me the same multipliers, if not better, on lower annual fee credit cards or cards that have no annual fee at all. Now, let's get to something else like DoorDash. I used DoorDash during the pandemic and have not used it at all since. So, even though the DoorDash benefit has been revamped on this card, I would get zero benefit from this credit that is on this card. And I would be going out of my way to do something that I normally would not do to make this credit work. So, for me, that's a no deal. Now, also too, so, some of the more positive benefits that I think this card has would be like getting the global entry and TSA pre credit on this card. And again, I have other cards that do exactly the same thing, so that also is not a benefit for me. Now comes the one area that I could get benefit from if I were actually able to, and that is the lounge access this card has. Now, this card does come with Priority Pass lounge access, but you know what? I've got several cards that give me Priority Pass access already, so that doesn't do it for me either. Now, the unique benefit of this card is the Sapphire Lounges. Now, again, I've never been in a Sapphire Lounge, but I've seen pictures and video from other folks that have been in a Sapphire Lounge, and they look beautiful. And it looks like they have some pretty great benefits inside the lounges, like great food and beverages. So they look really amazing. However, I have never traveled to any of the cities that have a Sapphire Lounge currently, which are Boston, New York, at both LaGuardia and JFK, as well as Phoenix and San Diego, or the cities that are getting Sapphire Lounges soon, which would be Vegas and Philadelphia. I've never been to any of those cities at all. However, that will change this year as my first international trip of the year going to Iceland in April takes me through JFK, both going to and coming back home. So that could potentially be 2 visits right there. However, as you all know, I have the American Express Platinum card, which gets me access to not only the Party Pass lounges, but also the Sky Clubs and the Centurion lounges. And I am flying Delta to and from Iceland this year, as I am for pretty much all of my travel this year. So the access to the Sapphire lounges doesn't really mean anything to me. Now, I will say that where that could change would be if I was traveling to and or through those cities multiple times a year in travels coming up over the next few years. Now, that really doesn't look like that's gonna be a thing other than I could see myself probably flying through JFK in Boston, uh, quite a bit, going to Europe, several times a year. But again, I've got the platinum card, which gets me access to the Sky Clubs and the Centurion lounges, as well as the Party Pass lounges. So that again is not something that's going to benefit me at all. Now, the last thing I want to touch on is the $550 annual fee on this card. It is a hefty annual fee of the card. And again, I've got the platinum card, so I'm paying $695 for that annual fee. So adding another $550 annual fee and not being able to at least break even on the card as far as the annual fee goes, the travel credit comes fairly close. It comes halfway, but not being able to utilize Sapphire lounges to get value there, as I do put a dollar value on a lounge visit because it does keep me from buying food and beverage at the airport, or being able to utilize something like DoorDash or those kind of things that kind of in a nutshell kills the card for me. So those are reasons why that the Chase Sapphire Reserve just doesn't do it for me and has no value for me, at least for the time being. Let me know what you all think in the comment section below. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on my thought process around this card. Also, too, if you have not done so yet, please consider subscribing to my channel. Doing that, as well as clicking the like button down in the section below, are 2 things that you can do for free that will get my channel visible to more people. I thank you ahead of time. Now, please be good to each other, all right? And until next time, bye for now.